Every time he passed by a bookstore, he couldn't help but stop and find a book and open the title page, looking for clues left by a woman. But every time, the result is the same. Meanwhile, a woman was looking through a $5 bill, trying to find a clue left by a man on it. Years ago they met in a gift store. They were looking at the same pair of gloves. Jonathan puts the gloves back on the shelf for Sarah to take. But the old man on the other side of the room took advantage of the situation. They talked each other into it. They cooperated with each other. Finally got the gloves back. In the end, Jonathan gave the gloves to Sarah. This is the beginning of their relationship. As a token of appreciation, she treated Jonathan to a cold snack before saying goodbye. Jonathan wanted to leave a contact, but Sarah is a person who believes in fate and said that if we were meant to meet, we will meet again. The only thing left for Jonathan was a kiss. Jonathan was disappointed. He didn't get the gloves. He couldn't even leave his name. He turned his head to go home. Suddenly he felt something was missing from his neck. Turned back to the gift store, and Sarah bought the gloves also pulled in the store. Seeing Jonathan's scarf, she was so happy. Jonathan also happened to run into Sarah, and so fate brought them together again. Sarah put on the scarf for him.
Let's go do something.
Alright. What can I do?
I don't care.
The two come to the rink and tell each other stories. Sarah suddenly fell down, and it brought them closer together. Jonathan heals her wounds, but he saw a constellation on the freckles on Sarah's arm. He turned his head and grabbed a pen while telling the story. While drawing the constellations, he also cleaned the snowflakes from her hair. The atmosphere of ambiguity spread, and Jonathan, just gentlemanly, kissed Sarah's arm. Sarah unprecedentedly left her name and number, and a car drove by, but the note was taken away. It seemed to him that fate had separated them. At Jonathan's constant request, Sarah asked him to leave his name and number on a piece of cash, but then he went to a stall and spent the money. Sarah said she'd call you when the money was in my hands. That's a joke. Jonathan didn't want to lose a chance. Jonathan didn't want to lose a chance to get to know each other better. Sarah took out another book. She was going to leave her contact information on it and sell it to a second-hand vendor tomorrow. If he found the book, it would mean they were meant to be together. But Jonathan thought the chances were too slim. Sarah suddenly dragged him to the hotel, pressed the elevators on both sides. Then each of them would choose one floor. If they meet on the same floor, that means we're destined to be together. Finally, she throws a glove at Jonathan. As the elevator closed, she finally said her name and pressed the 23rd floor. And the helpless Jonathan also chose the 23rd floor. But on the 14th floor an imp appeared. He pressed all the floors. Sarah, who had a smooth ride, arrived first, but Jonathan was stuck on the 15th floor. Sarah hoped that he would appear. Finally, the elevator is back to normal. But the number of people riding the elevator was growing. Sarah lost her patience and took the next elevator down. And Jonathan just missed it. Sarah goes back downstairs and still misses him, chasing him out of the hotel. He still missed him. Fate had played a big joke on both of them. Fate is an inexplicable thing. Years later, Jonathan is about to get married. At work he hears a fat girl called Sarah. When he gets a haircut, he finds out the barber's name is Sarah. Even when sitting in the car, the man outside sings the same song as Sarah. He couldn't escape it. He found the best friend he could talk to. The two of them began a carpet search for the book, but the results were obvious. By coincidence, he accidentally found the bag from back in the day. Inside the glove, he found Sarah's shopping receipt. The payment account number was clearly visible, and Sarah becomes a psychiatrist. She had changed her naivety. She stopped believing in fate. She told the boy that the woman you thought was right for him didn't exist, but there is no such thing as the right woman. Sarah has a romantic boyfriend, a huge gift box in front of her, a nest of surprises that she couldn't get enough of, a little box with a diamond ring in it, and when you open it, there's no ring.
You gotta say yes first.
Of course Sarah does, but the ring her boyfriend chose didn't fit at all, and he tried so hard to put it on. For the honeymoon, Sarah had everything planned, and at the last minute, her boyfriend disrupted all her plans. She never cared about Sarah's feelings. Sarah was given very little company. Sarah was hiding from the rain in front of a video store. She resents her boyfriend's selfish behavior, and at that very moment, she happened to see the movie Jonathan had mentioned. He had said that Sarah was like the main character in it. Sarah, who no longer believed in fate, had a heart attack. Sarah grabbed her friends and wanted to take another trip to Destiny. If she didn't meet that man, she would never think about it again. Jonathan went to the gift store. hoping the clerk could help him check his account number. But this guy was trying to talk his way out of it. He was asking him to help him with his sales. Jonathan picked out a random purple tie, but it was not enough. He had no choice but to buy another purple suit. He signed the bill, but the clerk said the information was out of date. There was nothing in the computer. Jonathan was furious. The clerk then told him there was a copy of the original in the warehouse, but the bill that he had gone to so much trouble to find. But the name was no longer legible, but the address on it was still there. They could check the information with the rental agency. They followed a lead from the authority. They found the place where Sarah used to live. But this guy didn't know Sarah's name either. They had to go to the agent as soon as possible. Sarah found a flyer on the side of the road. She thought it was fate, and fate was guiding her. Sarah came to the place where Jonathan worked. She even touched Jonathan's gum. The gum stuck to the back of the chair, and Jonathan was still on his way to find Sarah. Friends advised Sarah to accept reality. Sarah also thought she should give up the search, but just as the two were leaving, friends in the retrieved change ready to draw the rest as a tip, and Jonathan's contact information was on it. Sarah gets in the car. Jonathan was around the second. Just as his friend asked for the next clue, Jonathan decided not to look. He thought all the signs were telling him his actions were a mistake. Back at the hotel, Sarah's friend just happened to run into Jonathan's girlfriend. They went to college together. Jonathan's girlfriend was getting ready for the wedding rehearsal, and Sarah had to go upstairs to call her boyfriend, and so they missed seeing each other again. Sarah found out that her boyfriend had come looking for her. The two of them rode around in a horse-drawn carriage, but the boyfriend was overwhelmed with work. Sarah gets out of the carriage, only to find the ice skating rink where she and Jonathan had been together. He was distracted at the wedding rehearsal. He's thinking about another woman. After the rehearsal, his girlfriend gives him a gift. Jonathan opened it. It was a book he'd been looking for 7 years. It was called Love in the Time of the Plague. He opened the book with trepidation. The handwriting on it was clearly visible. Sarah Thomas. I didn't expect that. The clue to finding another woman. It was delivered to him by his girlfriend. According to the last clue, the best friend who works at the newspaper found Sarah's address. The two of them took a plane to the destination, but when they reached their last hope, they saw something they shouldn't have seen. Jonathan's heart is dead.
I think that went very well.
At the same time, his friend made him realize that the journey was not only a quest, it was running away from the wedding. Sarah's boyfriend left early for work. She had to return alone. Her friend had to stay behind for a fellow student's wedding. The stewardess came to sell headphones, and Sarah and her friend took the wrong wallet. The $5.00 she found inside. It is Jonathan's contact information. When Sarah saw the bill, grabbed the $5 back, and that's how she got off the plane. She looked up Jonathan's address. She couldn't wait to find him, only to learn from a neighbor that he was getting married. All Sarah could think about was Jonathan. She rushed to the hotel without a second thought, only to find workers cleaning up the place. She thought the wedding was over. Instead, they said the wedding was off.
What?
Yeah, I called the whole thing off this morning.
He called it off?
Before he parted with his friend, he wrote an obituary for Jonathan. It said that the man who had died in this moment, he had lost both his sweetheart and his fiancée. Jonathan read his friend's obituary carefully. When he came back to his senses, he found himself at the ice rink. Sarah drops her friend off. In a trance, he felt a chill. Jonathan at the rink found a jacket. He took the jacket to the middle of the rink. He sat down on the ground and reminisced about his strange encounter 7 years ago. He took out the black glove. He put it on and then took it off and threw it away. Snowflakes started to fall from the sky. He simply used his clothes as a pillow and lay on the ground until everyone left the place. Suddenly a black glove fell from the sky. This is the other glove. And Sarah was right behind him. The same one from 7 years ago. The same girl. The same skating rink from 7 years ago. The difference is that this time, fate had tied them together.
Ciao.
I'm Sarah.
And that's the end of the film.